All about cooking, all about nutrition, and all about you. Enjoy the show. Today's show brought to you by Fit to Love. How to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit to attract the love of your life. Get your copy today. Today's show, homemade ketchup. Jeanne's like the queen of homemade sauces, and we love it because we all want to make things that are healthier for us and that serve our bodies, because a lot of what's on the market isn't. So let's first talk about why we want to make our own ketchup versus buy it.
Sure. Well, first of all, Americans eat a lot of ketchup. You know, you probably have had ketchup with your fries, and you may not be aware that a lot of the ketchup that's being sold right now uses high fructose corn syrup, which is probably the most damaging of all the sweeteners that are out there. And then the second thing is that MSG is often hidden in a lot of the more commercial ketchups. So for a lot of us who have headaches or weird food sensitivities, sometimes these can be the culprit. But in addition, that high fructose corn syrup is definitely contributing to obesity, both in young people and in adults. So, making your own, easy to do, and once you start, you'll never go back and, use the stuff that you're accustomed to.
So if you're diabetic and you need to watch your sugars, this would be a great thing to do, because what we're going to use in here as a sweetener is not going to spike your insulin nearly as much as regular ketchup does.
You got that.
All right. And then once we do this ketchup, we can build on that in future shows and do all kinds of other great things. So let's start with the regular basic ketchup recipe.
So a couple things we're going to start with. Make this in a jar, and because once you've made it, then it's easy to go. You don't have to go ahead and clean it out, because we're using tomato paste as our base. So I've got two different types of organic tomato paste, both organic, one's without salt, one's with salt. If you're not somebody who has a salt issue, just use the regular. It's not that much more in sodium. So once you've got your paste in your jar, then let's add something to help ferment it. So we're going to make this something that's actually lacto-fermented. So you're getting some extra benefits. You're going to get some probiotics, but in addition, this actually helps the ketchup to last longer. We're not using any more preservatives other than just...
So that is a preservative, though.
Exactly.
To ferment it makes it a preservative.
Great. Got it.
Okay.
So it's going to give... So a couple things that you could use. One would be you could take any type of yogurt, whether it be plain or non-fat or low-fat, and put it into a coffee filter. Put maybe a couple of tablespoons. And in doing so, the liquid whey will come out, and this whey is something that you could easily use a tablespoon of that into here. JJ, I believe you're, following a whey-free diet.
Yes,
so
dairy-free.
So
some
other
I
options.
won't use that, but if you at home have yogurt in your refrigerator and you want to use that and you prefer that, that's fine. But what can we do if we're not using whey?
Couple things. One would be you could take your beet kvass.
You mean your beet kvass?
Your beet kvass.
But now it's my beet kvass too.
She could take her beet kvass, and she could take a tablespoon of that and put it in, because that's already something that if it's been fermenting for several days, it's built up some probiotics. For tried and true, you can get a liquid probiotic that is something that you could add that will add a little bit of sweetness, as well as lactobacillus acidophilus and some bifidus. So I'm just going to put in a tablespoon of this, and we could just put that right in like so. It looks like it's got, once you stir that up, it's going to be all just fine, and it's going to add a little bit of...
I just want to read the back of this, that it is actually a culture of milk-free, which is good, because a lot of probiotics have milk in them.
Yeah, so this one is using it's using some fruit juice as a base.
Nice.
So we've got some options there. Now we're going to need to start adding layering some flavors. So a couple of things I'm going to do is put in a dash of hot sauce. So it could be any kind of hot sauce. Just if you're somebody that's really sensitive to that, you're not somebody who likes, you don't even need to use it. So we're just going to put in like 1 drop or 2. And then we're going to put in some peeled garlic.
We're going to use crushed garlic because it's just way easier.
Yeah, let's all go for easy, right? Remember, we're the ones that like to keep things simple.
Yeah, lazy chef.
Yeah.
That said you.
All
Me
right.
too. And this show, as you can tell, is not about exact science of cooking. This is about healthy, easy living. You are not going to see anything terribly, complicated on this show, because I want you to cook more, not cook less. So.
One last thing is, and that's a little fish sauce. So fish sauce adds kind of a depth. It's going to sound weird. You're only going to put in 2 tablespoons. And if you're somebody who's obviously allergic to fish, you're not going to put it in. But let me just share with you that this is the 5th taste. There's 5 tastes that we now know our taste buds are designed for: salt, sweet, bitter, and sour. Fifth taste is unami, and that gives a very earthy taste. So the brand that I'm using here is it's a combination of anchovies and a little bit of water and salt. This gives a really nice full depth. So this will be something that will be more satisfying if you have it. If you're somebody who really thinks no way, you could use a little miso. That would give an earthy taste. Coconut aminos, or
which I know you have, and I have too. They're great. It's great instead of soy sauce.
Mm-hmm. So any of those would be great. So we're just going to go ahead and stir that right in. And basically, we're done.
Awesome.
You're going to let this sit on your counter for 2 days. And
we're fermenting it. Right. It has to sit out. And do not put it away in your refrigerator.
Actually, JG, I have something else that I'm going to add, and that is that we talked about the fact that a lot of the ketchups that are out there are extremely sweet. So many of you parents that are listening to this who are making this possibly for your children, you may find you have to add a little something sweetened, because for some of us, this might be sweet enough because there is sweetness just naturally in the...
It leaves a little sweet.
Yeah. So
it's a good sauce.
But I want to show. I think we want to add. So I just looked at my recipe and realized that I had forgotten my sweetener. And the sweetener that I use is just a little bit of coconut sugar, and I can put it in like this. But you know what? It's better if you thin it a little bit. So coconut sugar. I'm sure JJ's actually showed you. It's a nice sweetener because it's something which it hasn't been processed as much as like cane sugar. So you can just put in a little bit into water, stir it up, and basically, this could be your sweetener, and you can use as little or as much as you think you're going to need to help flavor it. I would start off with a tablespoon and taste it, and if you feel like you need more, you can always add more.
And you can also use maple syrup.
Absolutely.
So those are going to be different flavors, so try it and see which one you like better.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and try that and just see what you think. You might just need a little bit more.
I like it like that, but I would put a little bit more in for it. People like my husband likes it sweeter. Because ketchup it's sweet, and that's why you add it to so many things.
So you can just, so you could go ahead and add more, but what I can suggest to you is, if you're not sure, go ahead and let it ferment. Sometimes even in the fermentation process, as things are further broken down, sweetness starts to become more available to your taste buds. So what you're going to do is leave this on the counter, 60 or 70 degrees, 75 degrees, that's a great temperature. Let it sit for 2 days. It's going to ferment. It might even bubble a little bit. Once you open it up, you could just taste it and decide at that point. And then if it's ready to go in your case, then go ahead and use it.
So let me just get this straight. So we're making a ketchup, homemade, that is low in sugar. It's not going to spike your insulin. And it's a probiotic now, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a probiotic. We have all kinds of fun ways to get probiotics into your life that you don't even know about.
Yeah, so it's another example of a cultured food. So, so stay tuned. We've got some other ideas of what you can do with this lacto-fermented ketchup.
We'll be back with more Sauces with Jeannie. The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly videocasts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays, and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If this show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.TV. Have a fit and fabulous day.